I'm Tony with Real Life Trading. How do you know if these markets are about to go bullish or bearish? I'm going to show you right now on the charts what I'm looking at as a full-time trader to help you make money this week. Let's start with SPY. SPY closed pretty well on Friday. It ended up holding the supports. I still have a buying area in this area. And so we'll talk about the bull scenario and the bear scenario, the levels that they need to hold. This is what I do every single week and pretty much every single day as a full-time trader to figure out where these markets are about to go. Because again, price action is going to give you an indication of where the markets are about to move before the move happens, if you just simply know what to look for. So I am looking for the bulls to continue to hold 565 on SPY if they are going to stick around and keep pushing this market higher. Now, there are some walls in front of us on the option side of things that are going to cause some hesitation and possibly some resistance. The first wall that I am looking at is this large call wall. So whenever a lot of people own the same strike on the options at a very specific level, that tends to act as a pretty good resistance. And right now, that level for today's expiration, September 23rd, if you're watching this afterwards, you can kind of get an idea of what we did and how it reacted off of that. But this area at 570 is going to be a monster resistance. And so if we push up into 570, look for the bears to push this back down. If we close through 570 very strongly, it should open the floodgates for the bulls to really run this bull market. The next real wall that we are looking at is at 580. Now, there's a few more in between here, but they're not that large. These are your two large ones for this week, 570 and 580. So at the end of this week, we should not be above 580. If it is, again, big money is going to have to hedge, and they're going to continue to drive this market up higher. I don't think that's going to be it. For me, I'm looking at 580, be taking profits on my long-term positions here. First things first, we've got to get through 570. So 570 is going to be a pretty big resistance area. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we just kind of see some boomerang in between here. But if we do start closing above this on a daily, again, they're going to start to hedge. This should start squeezing and going more bullish. They lose if they allow this market to start getting too high above 570 today. And so all they do is just start buying their own insurance to help cover their loss. And that's what feeds on itself and continues to drive this market up. The option market is such an amazing tool to understand because it helps you to pick out the big levels of where the market should stay. They're trying to contain it within this level. But when we break out of those levels, we know the big money has to hedge, which just simply feeds on the move itself and allows for these big moves to come. And so when you can understand where to pick out those levels, understand how the game works, you can start getting ahead of these levels, take your profits before it reverses, and keep on cranking. If you're interested in learning more about options, I will be teaching it to our real life trading community. You can check out that first link below in the description and join for 2 weeks completely for free, no commitment. Come join me for 2 weeks in our training for options, and you can learn as much as you would like to learn completely for free. Again, link down below in the description. To the bull side on SPY, these are the levels that I am watching for this week. 570 is going to be a big one. So if we can start moving through 570, then it should try to squeeze and continue bullish. I don't know if we'll get to 580 this week, but it's possible. I wouldn't expect us to get much higher than 580 this week. Now to the bear side. If these bulls fail and the bears start to push this thing back down, there are a ton of areas where I am watching for these bulls to step in. Again, the trend is bullish. So I would imagine that dips are going to get bought up at this point. Last week was a big question mark to see if we were going to actually drop hard or not, and it didn't come through. And it's possible that it can, but we need to watch and see if these bulls step in here. And so the first area that I am watching is 565 on SPY, and it could even go all the way down into about 560. So this first bouncing area is where I would expect the bulls to come in a lot like they did on Friday. So if we get some movements down, we have a huge support at all-time high, plus the 10 EMA coming into play. We should be finding some bull demand and continue to hold this market up. If anything, we could be looking at a sideways kind of kangaroo market bouncing up and down for the next week or two. That's very possible because this market has made a huge move and it is overbought. We need to rest, and that would make logical sense. Now, if the bulls do not end up holding this first initial box, we have a very key options level for the bulls down around 555. So I drew this kind of box area just to watch because it is the 20 EMA on a daily as well, and we're coming into a very strong support. So 555 is the level. Put alerts on your charts. Put notes on your charts to be like, hey, this cannot break. If these bulls allow a daily close below 555, then it could start to really sell off. And so that is the line in the sand for me. I will be watching that level very, very closely. I fully expect the bulls to hit that level and bounce it. I do not expect us to break it, but hey, crazier things can happen. So for me, I am leaning a little bit more bullish on this market, but I want to just sit back and see what happens. How much strength comes in when we get into the bouncing areas? How much weakness comes in when we get in these key levels up top? That's what I'm looking for. I'm letting the markets tell me. I do not want to predict what's going to happen. I want to have a game plan for what's going to happen. If it comes down into here and I get my strength on a smaller time frame, great, fantastic. Let's bounce this thing back up. And so how I do that is I'll zoom into like a 30-minute. I'll zoom into an hourly when we're into this range, and then I'll start looking for my price action to show me that the bulls are taking over. And there's multiple different ways to do that. So I'm going to go to a smaller time frame and let the price action prove to me that the bulls are trying to step in these buying areas before I do anything. We just talked about this last week in our real life trading community for our weekly mentor coaching that we do for free for all of our members. If you weren't there last week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a short clip of that session at the very end of this video. So stick around. You can watch a couple minutes of that. Hope you can learn, grab some information, and be a better trader because of it. So I'll be watching on a very small time frame in these boxes to see if the bulls actually step in. If I don't see that strength coming through, then now I know these bears really are starting to gain momentum, and momentum is so crucial to be able to figure out where these things are about to go and how big of a move are we about to have. So mark out these levels. It is going to be a very, very fun week of trading, in my opinion. Let's jump on out to the Qs real fast. So we still have this key bear level that we are sitting on the Qs. They are pretty strong because we broke out of this pennant pattern. So we had a pennant pattern here on the Qs. It's been bouncing around. Last week was the week for the bears to really push us down. Instead, huge gap up, and it's holding it. And so in my opinion, if we do get a move down into like 472 on the Qs, 473, that is your buying area for the bulls. We should be buying this thing up. You can see I've got alerts sitting right through here in this area. I want to get notified when the markets move into there, so that way I'm not sitting in front of the computer all day long. I can get notified, I can go out and do my thing, and then whenever it comes time to trade in this area where I want to trade it, I jump on in, look for my strength, and take that trade. I would expect us to get bought up and push into this gap fill here on a daily chart on the Qs. That's what I'm waiting on. Could we be going to a new all-time high on the Qs? Very, very possible. It's lagging. We just broke out of a pennant. It needs to probably retest this pennant, so it might be next week that we get the move, but you never know. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if it takes off and runs, but if this can get a little bit of a pullback, this should be a place where the bulls step in and get a large move higher. So again, watching for this open gap to get filled. This is a great profit-taking area, and go from there. IWM. So IWM is very, very extended. It needs a pullback. It doesn't mean it has to get a pullback. Bulls could be bouncing this thing straight on back through. We are up into our bear key level that we marked out last week. We've hit that twice, and we've gotten rejected twice on this. Friday's close was not great. And so I would imagine we're going to continue to have some selling coming into the start of this week on IWM into the area where these bulls should be at, which is about 217 to 215. Again, 215 has been a very strong buying area. We also had a little bit of a pennant pattern here that we broke out of. So a retest back to this trend line, which again is like 214 possibly area, that could be a very good place for the bulls to come back up and try to push this thing higher. Will it actually pull back? I don't know. It makes sense for it to pull back. It doesn't have to. And if this wants to keep on going, we would need to see the bulls very, very strong into 228. If it starts to get up into this 228 area and starts to reject and look a lot like this candle, then that could be the top of these markets for a little bit. And then we're going to start to see some selling coming through on IW. The one ticker that I'm looking at for a large move potentially this week is Tesla. So Tesla had a very nice breakout. If we just run the sentiment behind this chart real quick, take a look at this. Your bulls were bouncing through here very, very strong. So we know that they're establishing a support here. Well, we gapped across that and then ran up to it multiple times over here and got rejected. So we know that the bears are stepping in on this level. Came back up into here, got rejected extremely hard. I mean, this candle right here is an absolutely bearish, crazy sentiment candle. The bears were like, we are here to play. So then we came up multiple times. Wick up, wick up, wick up. We could not get above this level until this green candle came in on Thursday. Once we started to make that move up above this, my trading community started buying some Tesla calls. And we are still in those Tesla calls. It closed extremely strong. We then put in an inside candle on Friday. So I am watching for this inside candle high to get taken out, which is around 244. If that happens, we should be able to continue to squeeze higher and make our moves into 250. 250 is a large call option resistance. So realize, yes, we haven't made it to a new high. It still can go to like 265, 270 to a new high. But short term for this week, 250 is going to be the spot where I could see a lot of bulls taking profits. So I don't need to be smarter than the markets. I just need to join the markets. I just need to trade with them. I need to trade with the big money. So if I know big money has a high probability of taking profits at 250 based on the option levels, that's where I want to be at. So that's where I'll be looking to take some profits this week if Tesla can get up to 250. If it starts to pull back down, I would imagine 232 to 230 is going to be a very strong buying demand area, and it should continue to bounce up and go higher from there. So at the moment, it looks extremely strong because of the amount of bears that are trapped on this trade. Everyone's been shorting this level. It's been holding strong. That candle broke the bears back. Now we know the bulls are in control. Now it's just a matter of getting a retest to get in, and we got that on Friday. We're gapping up right now. Let's see if this will follow through and continue to crank higher. I hope you enjoyed these charts. We do these every single week. Our goal is to enrich your life and help you see more success in your trading. Enjoy this clip from last Monday where I teach a little bit more on price action. If you would like to learn more about options, we're going to start teaching that in this coming month in our real life trading community. Again, you can do a 2-week free trial and participate in everything in the community. That includes our coaching, our trades, our community, everything. Link is down below in the description if you'd like to come check that out and join our trading family. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Trading is all about understanding momentum. And so if you can understand momentum, then you're going to be able to make pretty good money consistently with high probabilities. How do you see momentum? Momentum is going to come by understanding trend, because we all know the market's moving an S curve. So it goes up and then it pulls back and then it goes up again. How do you know where the momentum is? How do you know not to short this drop? And how do you know to go long this? Well, it has everything to do with the S curve. And so if the markets are making higher highs and higher lows, we are S curving up like this, the bulls are in control. And the bulls are in control until we take out the higher low. I don't care about the higher high. I care about the higher low. If it comes down and makes a new higher low and gets back up to the key level, there's my new spot for the bulls to have to hold. Once we take out and close, it's not just wick, it's an actual close below that higher low. In my opinion, the bulls have given up their strength and the momentum is now to the downside. And so we are going to start making lower highs and lower lows as we move down. Whenever we are bearish, the bears have to hold their lower highs, in my opinion. This is just something that I've used for years and years and years, and it works. So whenever we are bearish, we are looking at the lower highs. I don't care if it takes out the lower low. So if it gets all the way up to here and it's gone on 4 bull days in a row, it's still bearish in my opinion until we close above the lower high. And once it closes above that lower high, it's going to start making higher lows. Again, I don't care if it closes below the higher high. That doesn't matter to me. I want to make sure it doesn't close below the higher low. So the bullish key level is the high and the bullish hold level is the low. Yep, exactly. So as we're going up, this level is what I'm using to gauge strength. If we go through it, it's still strong, but this level is what I'm using to gauge the trend change. And so it's going to come down. This is my new level to gauge strength. And it's going to come back up. This is now my new level to gauge trend change. So I don't care about this low one. I'm now going to the closest higher low. All right. So as you have this key level, you're reading momentum. And as it starts to hesitate, just because it hesitates doesn't mean that the bears are in control. The bulls are still in control. They're losing strength. So technically, until we get a close below this higher low, the bears have now taken over. But that doesn't mean I can't go bearish. I could try to play it up here. But technically, until we take out that higher low, the bears have not taken over. So how do you do that? Well, you can zoom in on a smaller time frame. So as the daily chart is doing this and making an S curve, What's going on an hourly chart? Well, the hourly chart inside of these candles right here, the hourly chart looks like this. It's doing mini S curves. So on an hourly chart, I can now start timing this up. So once this starts to fall, because we know a pullback's going to come after this big move, well, that's normally when we break the higher low on an hourly. So even though we are still bullish on a daily time frame until we get below this, how could I short this up here? I could zoom in on an hourly time frame and play the break of the trend there.